This is Fred Beck from Fred Talks Fighting, proudly sponsored by Boohoo Man. I'm joined over Zoom by Joe Fournier. Joe, it's good to catch up with you again. It's been about 4 months. How you been?
I've been fantastic, buddy. I don't know if we spoke before I went to Mexico, but I was out in Mexico for a bit in Tulum at my clubs. And I went to Argentina, Brazil to the Rio Carnival. Had a bit of fun there, wife hunting, but we came back empty-handed. But we had a lot of memories.
I saw you when you were in Brazil. We did an interview on Zoom then. Did you go back to Brazil
Oh,
after that then?
no, no. So we zoomed from Brazil, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Ah, okay, cool. I
And no
wasn't
girls,
paying
no
attention.
girls picked your fancy out there?
There was a few took my fancy, but not long term, unfortunately. We're in a short term business. We're in the trading business, as they say, not the investing at the moment.
Trading, not investing. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good analogy to use for sure. We'll just go
Yeah,
straight into it then. Did you see the news about KSI fighting Andy Taylor and Slim in one night, fighting a tag team?
is that a real thing?
Yeah, so it'd be an island, Dublin Island, August 31st, KSI versus Slim and Andy Taylor. Two versus one fight.
How does that work?
So KSI's fighting on one side, and you got 80 and Slim who'll be fighting him. They can tag each other in. One person in the ring allowed at a time. Then you can tag it, make the tag.
Oh, okay, wow. I mean, it's entertainment, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it was certainly entertaining for sure. But do you think that's unfair on JJ? How did you see it?
I think I think what's happened in this social media boxing through the through through Tommy was that Tommy's a mediocre boxer, never achieved half of what I've achieved in the real boxing world, right? He's never been ranked in the top 10. He's never won an international belt, nothing. But he's beat these guys, right? Like he beat KSI and he beat Jake. I think Jake's was a bit controversial, but he won, right? So that is what it is. So I think now they got to come up with new and unique ideas because the thing is, you can't fast track boxing. You need years and years and years of preparation. You need years and years and years of experience, and kind of the level hit a ceiling there. Does that make sense? So that kind of I would say that Tommy is maybe a Southern area title level kind of cruiserweight, like heavyweight, whatever he fights at. So I think that's what they're at, which is fine because they've had 5, 6 fights. So it's where they're meant to be. It's where I was at that point. You know what I mean? So I'm not putting anyone down. I'm just stating the facts, as I like to state. So now they got to come up with unique ideas to still sell tickets, still get you guys talking about it. And I think it's entertainment, and that's what Misfits was all about. In the first instance, it was never meant to be a competitor to the WBC or the WBA. It was meant to be something to open up the boxing world to a lot of incredible new viewers and the YouTube community, the kind of TikTok community, the Snapchat community, the Call of Duty community, and and then we had Call of Duty world champions against FIBA world champions. It was incredible that day. So yeah, that's kind of what I see. It's entertainment. It's fun. I'm not knocking it. At the end of the day, Slim won a tough fight against
Salt Pappy.
Southpaw. Salt Pappy, yes. And Salt Pappy's a good, he was one of the better guys in that circuit. And Anthony Taylor, even though he's lost a few, he's ended up winning a few, right, in a row. Did he?
He's
I
beaten Salt Pappy, and he's beaten King Kenny.
Right. So no idea who King Kenny is. All right. Well, I knew who Salt Pappy was because he fought the same night I did, I think. Or I watched him fight. So I think they've deserved their shot to fight KSI. I think it's entertainment. I think it's cool. And fair play to KSI for finding another, because KSI never went out there saying, look, I'm going to go and become the WBC, WBA world champion. He said, I'm going to just fight because I enjoy it. And I'm setting up this thing for the community, for other people in my welcome fight. So it's smart of him not to then go and rematch me and have another hard fight, a real fight, because like I've said before, is that, you know, if if he hadn't illegally elbowed me, that fight would have been an easy win for me. And that's why there's no rematch. I actually talked to Mams like 10 days ago. I was in Marbella and I spoke to Mams. We had a good call. I was in Italy. I was on the boat in Italy, and we had a good call about it. And I said, you know, he said, what do you want to do? And I said, look, I want either a big fight against a tough opponent, like a real pay-per-view blockbuster, right? Like get me the best guy out there that you can get. And, you know, let's really train for it. Give me 4 months notice at the right weight. Let's go for it. I said, or I want a fun fight against someone entertaining. And maybe we do like a bit like what you're doing now, what they're doing now with the 2 against 1. Is maybe we do like a big boxing event, and then afterwards we do a big kind of club party event, because that's my world, right? And we maybe create a fun 1 or 2 times a year where I fight some of these entertaining guys that are decent, you know, not world beaters, should I say, but decent. And then we throw a big party afterwards. So we kind of mix my world and the boxing world, a bit how you mixed, you know, social media and boxing, mixing music and nightlife and boxing could be fun. So threw that out there. He said, look, he's going to talk with Calais Sauerland and the team and then let me know. And I think he's meant to let me know this week. But, you know, they never get back to you on time.
I'm sure Mams is always pretty quick on his phone, to be fair. He'll get back to you at some point this week, hopefully.
Mams is one of the nicest, most realist, straight up guys out there. And I have a lot of love, as you know, and respect for that guy. And like I said, you know, to come up with this new idea for KSI that's going to create a lot of entertainment and a lot of views is cool. Like, well done, KSI. Chapeau, as they say in French.
Wow, you're actually being nice to KSI for once. This is abnormal.
I never hated the guy. I just thought he pussied out. You know, I thought he pussied out. You know, in any world where there's been a controversy, you know, there's always a rematch, right? I can name a foul like Chris Eubank Jr., Liam Smith, controversy, right? What happened in the second fight? He fucking smashed him. And they just didn't want that because, you know, I know the sneaky coach of KSI, Alexis. I know that the surprise factor of him getting his time in 1 or 2 rounds is a surprise factor because he fights like he's doing taekwondo and like he's going to kick you in the head. Right. So just the timing took took 4 minutes. If you actually put it into perspective, the whole thing lasted 4 minutes. So 3 minutes got his timing. Second round, I started landing. And then I still believe to this day it was an illegal elbow, but fine. Like that's the sport. If you look at like what happened with Ryan Garcia, he came in overweight and he's on performance enhancing drugs. That's a direct disqualification 10 years ago. But because of the power of social media, he's like, but the video shows Devin Haney getting knocked down. So therefore, Ryan Garcia won. That's not what happened. You had a guy come in a legal weight using illegal drugs. That's the fact. That guy should be disqualified. That fight never happened. Raise the hand of Devin Haney. If not, rematch, right? That's what should happen. Same thing should have happened between me and KSI. But they know that I'm experienced enough to now have adapted to him. I've seen his timing. And if we run it back, it's more one-sided. The great David Hay saying it's more one-sided than a gang rape. So, I'm just quoting him. That's not coming from me. So they pulled that. So that I've forgotten about that now. They're not going to let me fight him. I know they're not. It's been a year, and if they were going to let me fight him, they wouldn't have found 2 opponents. So that's that. And when I saw Mike Tyson had pulled out, you know, again, Jake doing a similar thing, you know, after the Tommy fight, finding some different opponents, some, you know, journeyman now with Tyson, big blockbuster, big payday, smart, you know, you can't knock it, what they're doing. But when he pulled out, I did send out a text message to Nikisa, and he just said to me that Netflix just want Mike Tyson. So there was no option there to try and sneak my way into that long-awaited Jake Paul fight I've always wanted. So just waiting to see. But yeah, if I don't fight this year, I'll retire. I'm too handsome, too rich to kind of keep chasing fights and, you know, dealing with it all. And I'm also probably too old to go back to fighting against the likes of Dimitri Bivol and Bibativ and the stacked division that I would be in if I was still fighting in the real boxing world. The next belt up than what I had is the one Dimitri Bivol has. So I think I'll let the 30-year, how old is he? 32? I think I'll let the 32 double Olympic, double world champion, the guy that beat Canelo, keep his belt.
That's very kind of you, Joe. Very kind indeed.
I'm gonna give him that.
Is there anyone in mind apart from the KSI Jake Paul fights? Who else should you say to Mam saying, can you get me these guys? Will be a
They
possibility.
said, look, let's do like a big fight. Like, let's get Logan, let's get Dillon Danis if he wants to box again. Let's get like a fun name. Like, let's get something interesting, right? Let's get someone who's going to want to get me out of bed. All these other guys, they're not relevant enough to get me interested and excited. Like, I'm up for it. Like I wouldn't be up for it. It would be like, oh, whatever. I quite like the idea. I'm quite matey with him. But Teofimo used to train at the Fifth Street Gym, Teofimo Lopez.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, why don't we have, because obviously he's more skilled than me, right? But I'm much bigger. I said, why don't we have an exhibition? He was quite excited about that. We didn't mention it a few times. He said, I'm down. He goes, and he's one of those guys where have a friendly when he puts the gloves on, he's a miserable bastard. He wants to kill you. So it would actually make an interesting fight because it would have to be a slugfest because he won't try and outpoint me. If you put an Amir Khan and Joe Fournier, Amir Khan's super fast, will just try and jab my head off. Whereas Teofimo will legitimately 165 pounds try and come and kill me, and that's will make an interesting fight, will give me a chance. But, there's some interesting names. Obviously, Masvidal, Nate Diaz just fought. So, Masvidal, whoever wins that, could be cool. But I'm talking a big blockbuster fight. I'm not really too interested in. I don't know any of the other fighters, right? Like I don't know enough of the YouTube. I don't watch the fight. So I don't know enough of the guys to say, I really want to fight, Stevie Blue, the TikToker, because I just wouldn't. No idea.
I'm a big fan of
Fred.
Steve. I'm a big fan
Me
of
and you.
Steve.
What? What did you say?
I'm a big fan of Stevie Blue myself.
Yeah.
What do you make of KSI?
Is that an actual person?
No, it means like
Okay. Okay.
What do you make of the KSI and Amir Khan fight though? Do you reckon that's a possibility for later in the year?
I mean, Amir Khan's a really nice guy. I hope that fight happens for Amir Khan because, it will be a good payday for him. And it's kind of a fun fight for him. So it's cool. Like I said, I enjoyed fighting on Misfits. It was a good build up. It's a bit weird, but it was different, right? So I hope that fight happens for Amir Khan and for KSI, because if KSI does well, it gives him some credibility that he lost by losing to Tommy. And then if it doesn't happen, I think that's the thing is like KSI is running out of opponents, really, of who to fight. So they're having to create these things. But, it depends on the weight. But, I mean, if Amir can't train for it for real, I can't see it being close, to be honest with you.
Okay, interesting. Interesting for sure. And one last thing then, Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, later this year in November. Were you a fan of it at the start? Were you thinking, I understand Mike Tyson's getting a nice payday here. He might be a little bit old and then he gets rescheduled for November. Do you want to see the fight take place or would you be happy with it kind of being called off by now? What are your thoughts on it?
No, I kind of stay in my lane. It's like none of my business. If someone said to me, Joe, you got 40 million quid, go fight Mike Tyson tomorrow, I'd do it, right? So I can't hate on something where if I was Jake, I would do exactly the same thing. You're going to get X amount of money from the betting companies. You're going to get X amount of money from the drinks company. You get X amount of money from Netflix. And at the end of the day, Mike Tyson's a 58-year-old man or 57-year-old man. He can make his own decisions. He knows if he's good enough. He knows if he's going to get smashed. He knows if he's sick. He knows. So who am I to go and judge others? Like I'm all supporter of all the fights taking place. You know what I mean? The only thing I don't like is people pushing out. That's the only thing that I don't like in any of this stuff. So KSI pushing out against a rematch with me, that's a pussy move. Ryan Garcia coming in overweight, coming in on peds. That's a pussy move, right? And just like fobbing it off just because he has 10 million followers that he can just lie to the people. And 9 million have no idea what's going on anyway, like what day it is. So they go, yeah, it's Ryan Garcia. He's the best. Did he outclass Devin Haney on that day? Yes. But fuck me, if someone's juiced to the gills and fucking 5 pounds heavier on the night, that makes a big difference. And you've seen that in the UFC, and you've seen that in boxing. You've seen that with one of the legends of Mexican boxing, Canelo, when he went up. It was only 168, 175, 7 pounds, 3 kilos. I know some people have more dessert than that in a day, right? It's not a big amount of weight, is it? But you see the difference where Canelo hits Bivol, didn't touch him. Bivol hit Canelo, stopped him in his tracks. And Bivol's not a huge puncher for that division either. So that 7 pounds, once you're 7 pounds of muscle, an elite level guy, it's a big difference. So I felt a bit sorry for Devin Haney because he is a nice guy and he cut the weight. Like, same thing with me. If I had fought KSI and I was 5 pounds heavier on the night, that would also have been much easier for me, because when you're cutting weight from I'm 210 pounds today. 210 pounds to 180 is a long way. So that 5 pound difference is a big difference. That 3 pounds when you're talking at 160 to 155, that's like a huge amount of weight drainage, huge amount of dieting, huge amount of like glycogen, carbs in your training camp. So I think, Ryan Garcia is a cheater. And I think KSI bottled it. What can I say? But the funny thing is how no one gives a fuck about Tommy Fury, and he's chasing all these fights and no one cares about him. Literally, he's like, all right, well done. You beat the 2 biggest YouTubers in the world. And guess what? No one cares.
I think Tommy Fury is playing in the charity match today with a bunch of other, I think Eddie Hearn's playing it, Tony Bellew is.
Charity what sport?
It's a very famous annual kind of celeb charity match at Wembley, I think, or one of these stadiums. So that's Tommy Fury's news I've heard recently. I know he's chasing the Jake Paul rematch. I guess it'll come down to it.
Yeah, he calls out Jake Paul. He calls out KSI. He calls out Logan Paul. He calls out Conor McGregor. He's calling out anyone that is willing to, put a glove on, because no one gives a shit about him. And I told you that. I was like, nah, that's the end of him, because he's not an entertaining guy. He's handsome, but doesn't get you far with no personality.
Well, I think with the Tommy Fury situation is it's that awkward thing of where he is very well known, but he's also got a level of boxing skill. So not many people can match his sort of skill in terms of the ring, where he doesn't bring the level.
No, but wait a second. He doesn't have a big boxing skill because.
No, but I'm saying compared to a lot of the other influencers.
Compared to a YouTuber, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So he's stuck in the mud almost,
Yeah. And this is why, KSI and Jake did avoid me for 2 or 3 years and waited until I was 40 years old to give me the shout to fight, because, if you go look at my tapes at 30 years old, it was a different animal. And that's the thing, is when you're too good, you also get iced out. So they're trying to get you towards the end. And it's smart. That just shows how much better Mike Tyson was. They waited till he was 58. They only waited till I was 40.
An extra 18 years. Well, Joe, I do appreciate you hopping on the Zoom today, as always. Yeah. Anything else?
Thanks, Fred.
Where are you off to next on your travels?
Next, I will go to... where will I go next? I think
Have you not book it yet, or just book it last minute?
I just, I'm a bit bipolar when it comes to going on holiday. So it's like I wake up in the morning going, I want to go to Miami. And then by the afternoon, I'll have an incentive, should I call it, of someone attractive saying, "Oh, I'll come to Mykonos." And next thing you know, I'm in Mykonos, and I'm jogged on, rerouted the plane back to take me where I want to go. So I was thinking of Ibiza this weekend, but I don't know. I also could go Mykonos. Saint-Tropez is a bit fun. I don't know. Let's see. And Miami's still always there. Miami always ticks a box.
First world problems, Ajo. First world problems.
How much money are you making now, Freddie? You rich yet?
No, not at all.
No, that open brick wall looks very, very Shoreditch. It looks like you've moved house.
No, it's my grandma's. I'm in Norfolk right now, in my grandma's house. I'm going back to London today.
Right. Yeah. Looks like an Armani. It looks like a Prada red, actually. Prada red sweater you're wearing. Is that a new one?
This is Boohoo Man, the sponsor.
Boohoo Man, I like it. Plug your sponsor. You're learning something from me. Make that money, baby.
Hell yeah, we love
Boohoo Man. My red Apple Watch to match you.
What watch is that? Apple Watch.
The Apple Watch, yeah. I've actually been training.
Yeah, you're looking a bit better shape as well.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm training for heavyweight in case Mike Tyson pulls out.
And you're also wearing a tighter t-shirt, which also helps a little bit.
That does help. The old tight t-shirt trick. You got me, Fred. You're getting smarter, richer, funnier. Fucking hell, your show's going to be on CNN
Amazing, isn't it?
next.
Amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, Joe, I do appreciate you coming on as always. And yeah, I'll see you
All right,
see
buddy.
you in a few months.
Take care, mate. See you later.